Kyle Beckerman. So this was my first big photo shoot with Sports Illustrated. It was my first cover. And this was one of the toughest shoots I had to do. I had only 1 minute with each player. So for this shoot, I got really ambitious. And I wanted to set up multiple lights and do multiple setups. My original idea for this shoot was to have 3 sets and have a total of 20 lights. But when we arrived on set to set up, I ran into all kinds of problems. For some reason, the lights weren't properly triggering with the Pocket Wizards. I had Profoto B4s and 7Bs, and the +3 Pocket Wizards were not communicating well with the B4s. I've never had that issue before, but what better time to first have that problem when you have your first cover shoot for Sports Illustrated. Can't have it any other way. So what I ended up having to do with all the stuff we had to deal with is condense, and I had to strike out 2 of the sets that I wanted. And instead of using 20 lights, I ended up using only 10 lights for multiple looks and setups. Hey, it's Alexis here. Join me on this 10-part video series where I team up with Profoto and I bust out my silver and gold Sharpie and go over 10 images where I share my thought process on my lighting, my creative process, and the story behind the images and how they were made. This is one of the looks I wanted to get strictly for myself. And you could actually see here, so like I said, this entire setup here was 10 lights. It was shot, the reason the shoot was really difficult and tough was for a number of reasons. Number 1, I said I only had 1 minute with each player. Number 2, they didn't necessarily tell me where I was going to be. And I didn't know if I was going to have power or not power, so I ended up having to use all battery packs. And also the start time that we had was at noon, and it was in between the men's, it was at Stanford University, in between the men's locker room and the bathroom, because that was the easiest point to get all the players to come and have their portrait taken. And this is actually the setup that I had, which is 10 lights, and obviously they're all not firing at once. I had them in different groups, and each group did a different look. In each group, I had a Pocket Wizard Multi-Max on my camera, and I was running through the setups with the speed cycler. So I had, like I said, a couple different setups here. The one I'm going to focus on here is on the image that I show here at Kyle Beckerman. So that one was actually about a three light setup. So you could actually see it right here. So the main light that's providing right here, the 3 lights that are going off on this one is this one right here, which is the beauty dish. And it's kind of providing a rim light right here. And then this is another light right here. So that's kind of giving him the highlights that you see in his hair, which looks really great. And one of the things that I did to give this a completely different feel and look than the other ones is, if you look here on the side, I have an assistant holding a black board. So what that black board did was provided this entire background right here to go black and give a completely different feel than what the other images had, which was a gray seamless. And also, if you look on the back of the setup too, since I had to shoot a broad daylight and you have sunlight there, so to kind of block, so this is our sun right here. So to block the sunlight to hit him directly, I had a 12 by scrim right here, which you can see here. And that setup, that scrim was completely blocking out the sunlight, and he's lit 100% with strobes. So my settings, usually what I tend to follow for settings, so a lot of photographers are interested in your camera settings, and those are just numbers. There's no necessary rule of thumb. What settings I use is usually dependent on the gear I have access to. If I have a choice and I have full control of the light, I usually like to be at ISO 100. I like to be around f16 because I like everything in focus, and I max out my shutter sync speed. For this one, like I said, I was using battery packs, so I was at my ISO, and the shoot was at 100. I was at f14, and my shutter speed was maxed out at 1/200th of a second. So the reason why I like to do that, I said, is because I like my subjects to be 100% lit by my strobes. And the reason why I also like to be at a small f-stop, and because I like everything in focus, I like to be usually f14, or like it's f16, I've been at f22 sometimes, is because a lot of the times, like when I'm doing shoots like this, when you only have 1 minute with your subject or a limited amount of times, last thing I want to do is get an amazing shot and then the eyes are out of focus and the image doesn't work. So I don't want to worry about the focus. I don't want him to worry about usually the composition. I don't want to worry about the lighting. I like to have that all set so it's just me interacting with my subjects. And again, for this one, it was a really, really tough shoot because I only had 1 minute with each of them. And I really couldn't talk to the players. If I tried to talk to them to create rapport, I kind of had the PR person there telling me, hey, come on, you gotta go, you gotta speed it up. But thankfully, you know, all said and done, everything that went wrong in the shoot, I survived it. The cover got printed, I photographed all the players, and you know, I got my next shoot. But again, kind of let me draw it out on here. And that's providing, like I said, this great glow that shows up really well in his hair. And then this flare right here is coming from that beauty dish with the grid. And this light right here, that's lighting him on the side, is that softbox that's coming in at this side. So even though I had 10 lights that you could see 10 lights coming here, for this particular shot, it was just this one, this beauty dish, and this one going off. And that's the shot that you have here on the side. And again, I went, instead of forward, I went to the side, and I had that assistant with a black board, and I completely changed the environment, made it all black, and it made it look different, like a completely different set, which what I was going for. Even though I had 1 minute, I was trying to do multiple looks that looked like completely different setups, even though they were all done on the same set.